Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the concept of the Saturn's Sade, a topic which is enough to intimidate anyone or instill fear in anyone's mind. So definitely guys, if I were to say that which planet out of all the 9 planets have always got good things in store for us, a planet which can be a greatest teacher and could be a ruthless motivator at the same time, that is the planet Saturn only. So guys, in this video I'm not gonna be only talking about from the perspective of what is happening right now in 2024, because we all know this thing that the Capricorn moon sign, Aquarian moon sign and the Pisces moon sign natives are already going through the Saturn Sadasati. But in this video we will try to look at a generic view of it, that whenever the Sadasati comes, definitely a lot many things goes into picture, like what is Saturn's role in your life. And guys, when I even say role, see, Saturn is a planet of justice, Saturn is a planet of discipline, and Saturn teaches us through practical life lessons, through struggle, through hard work, through diligent patience, perseverance. So the lessons and the learnings which are in store for a Aries Lagna, which will come through Saturn, is entirely different, which could be in store for a Taurus Lagna or a Libra Lagna. So for a Aries Lagna, because Saturn has got a rulership over your 10th house and your 11th house, what you do as a part of your actions in the society will always be judged by the planet Saturn. Same way, when we talk about the Taurus Lagna natives, in their case, Saturn has got a rulership over the 9th house and the 10th house. So in their case, how inspirational you could act in the society is always going to be under the scrutiny of the planet Saturn. Like for someone else, misguiding someone might get forgiven, but for a Taurus Lagna, because Saturn has got a rulership over your 9th house, and if you are misleading the world, Saturn might not go easy on you. So the point which I'm trying to say over here is that definitely you have to take into consideration what is the role of Saturn for you, like the houses it rules, what is Saturn's dignity in your chart, in D9 chart, in the D10 chart, how it corresponds with your moon nakshatra. But definitely guys, whenever the Sadasati comes, fated events somehow comes into the front picture, and basis the Sadasati and the progressive Sadasati, there are certain areas which tend to remain in the grip of the planet Saturn. So whatsoever is happening in someone's life, definitely Saturn's innate nature is to cause delays, to cause kind of problems, conflicts. But whatsoever the problem is going to get generated in the first phase of Sadasati is going to be different from the second phase, and that is going to be different from the third phase. So in this video, we will try to look at a generic view of that whenever the Sadasati progress in someone's life, how and in which specific area of life it starts influencing us. And like the way guys, if you were to ask me about that, why I say this thing that the Saturn is the greatest teacher or the most ruthless motivator. So the only logic with which I'm saying this thing, because it's the Saturn only which always has our good hidden behind all of the obstacles which it is creating in our life. Definitely my objective in life or your objective in life is not to become the next Elon Musk or to become a next like Amitabh Bachchan. Your target has to be to become the best version of yourself, whatsoever the God and the universe has carved you out for, whatsoever your skill set is. How can you function with the best of that capabilities, with the best of the gifts which the universe has provided you? And it's the Saturn only, through all these hard work and through all these obstacles, it wants us to shine at our best potential. Trust me guys, all other planets might give you things in a very easy way, but when it comes down to Saturn, you have to earn it through Saturn. So okay guys, now we will start our discussion. So starting first with the first phase of the Sadasati, and for all those people who are very new to this concept, so I will just give you a quick synopsis. So what do we Vedic astrologers mean by Sadasati? So that's very simple. Saturn stays in one zodiac sign for 2.5 years of time, whatsoever your moon sign is. Whenever Saturn goes the 12th from it, so if your moon sign is for example Capricorn, so the 12th from your moon sign is the Sagittarius. So when Saturn will enter the Sagittarius, you will start the first phase of Saturn Sade Sati, when Saturn will transit over your natal moon, that is going to be second phase of 2.5 years. And when it will move to the next sign, it is going to be the 2.5 years of the last third phase of the Sade Sati. So 2.5, 2.5, 2.5 will add up to 7.5 years of judgment which you have to pass through of your own actions, of your own deeds. So now guys, let's start our discussion first with the first phase of Sade Sati. So now guys, try to understand this thing that just because your Sade Sati has begun, so just immediate before that, Saturn is going to be transiting in one of its most favored house. Like the way we say this thing that Saturn's transit in the 11th house, whether it's from your moon sign or from your lagna, is generally considered as good. Now imagine right immediate after that, after opening all the doors for you, making you come in contact with important people, prominent people, now suddenly your life is starting to get slowed down. So definitely guys, the transit of Saturn from the 12th from your moon is a time when people kind of start finding themselves a bit lost in the world. They kind of start searching for the bigger purpose in their life. That a lot many times people come to me when they are already doing good in their career, but that degree and sense of conviction and contentment is lacking in their life, and they're still feeling that, okay, what is my contribution to the world? Okay, I did something good in my corporate job, I built a home, I raised children, but is that the only purpose of the life? So the good part about the first phase of the Sade Sati is that it actually kind of give you a nudge. Life gives you a nudge when you start thinking about connecting with something which is larger than the daily running and vicissitudes of the life. But again guys, life starts slowing down, and somehow because Saturn is the significator of losses, and Saturn is going to be transiting in the house of losses, all those things which are hidden from you. Now guys, understand this thing. Moon is somehow connected with your manas, and which has got encrypted information of all of your deeds from the past so many lifetimes. Like the way we say this thing that Saturn is not gonna give you just the judgment or justice of the ill deeds or bad deeds done by you in this life. It also has an account of what did you did 2 lifetimes back as well. Imagine these days it's so simple. You did a scam for millions of people. You did you did something which is very despicable, which affected the lives of hundreds and thousands of people, and just when you were about to get arrested, you committed suicide. So do you think that the justice has been served completely? So the thing is that Saturn has got an account of so many of the deeds done by you in the past so many lifetimes. I always say this thing that if a mystery is something which is attached with the 8th house and the 12th house, 8th house is something which is still accessible to us. 12th house is always hidden. 12th house is something, the communication of the 12th house happens from the other side only. It is a door which no matter how enlightened you are, you cannot open it. It will only open at its own universally ordained time on its own from the other side. So now when Saturn is transiting from the 12th from your moon, somehow all of these things are now getting evaluated, are getting assessed. So because of which, let's say for example, if Saturn is a good planet for you, you are a Capricorn moon sign, Aquarians, for example Taurus, Libra in any capacity, and Saturn is well placed in your chart as well, in the D9 chart as well. So that degree and feeling of loss will take you towards elevation. It will try to make you connect with something which is more important and more elevating. But all those people who are not their evolutionary level of their soul is not that elevated, they will start feeling restless, insecure. Suddenly things are coming to a standstill. So many of the expenses are now suddenly happening. So this is how the first phase of Sade Sati will start taking you in its clutches, in its grip. Now guys, definitely because Saturn not only affects us from the house where it sits, it aspects the other houses as well with its additional aspect. So from the 12th house, Saturn will give its third aspect to your second house. It will give its straight aspect to your 6th house, and its 10th aspect to your ninth house. Now guys, try to understand this thing. Definitely this is going to be a time when third aspect of the planet Saturn, which has everything to do with putting more efforts. And just because Saturn is in a house, in a department of re-evaluation of your actions from so many of the past lifetimes, so that means that family generally start giving less support to someone in the first phase of the Sade Sati. Finances take a very big jolt in the first phase of Sade Sati, and a lot many cases, like all those people, this is a so-called thing in India that you put your heart and soul to a religious figure, and then when that person got embroiled into some scandal, his real face got exposed, then a lot many people, those who were like so ardent devotee of the same person, now start criticizing him. Then that means your faith and conviction on the first was questionable, right? It was on a very shaky grounds. It was built on that grounds, otherwise it would not have affected you that much. Through that person you were connecting to that primordial power, right? So the point which I'm saying over here is that whatsoever you are, like what matters a lot to you, the foundation of that starts shaking up. So this is how the third aspect of the planet Saturn in your first phase of Sade Sati starts influencing you. Now definitely guys, now comes the major part of the problem, which is its straight aspect to your sixth house, the first phase of Sade Sati. So again guys, this is a kind of a time period when we generally, all the astrologers generally advise that the more you can refrain from getting into conflict, lawsuit, the better it is going to work out for you, because this is a kind of a placement and aspect of the planet Saturn which empowers your enemy more rather than you. Second thing is that all those people who have been very negligent regarding the health, so that also starts getting affected during this time. And lastly guys, when we talk about the judgment giving aspect of the planet Saturn, which goes to your ninth house, so the thing is that this is kind of a time period when people also start getting misguided a lot. You will not be able to find the right set of mentorship and guidance in your life. I still remember I read this story when I was a kid. So there was this guy, he was very poor, and he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. So once Lord Shiva and Lord Shiva's concert, they were like observing the dealings and whereabouts or what is happening on the earth. So then the goddess asked Lord Shiva, husband, your this devotee is so ardent devotee of yours, but he's living his life in such utter poverty. Why don't you do something to uplift him? To which the god says, it's not in his fate, it's not in his destiny. No matter what we will try to do, but it's still not written in his destiny. So okay, no, then the goddess says that, okay, I don't believe in this. Okay, why don't you demonstrate this to me? Lord Shiva says, okay. So the path where he used to cross a bridge or somewhere, so he instilled a pot filled with gold over there. And when he was about to cross that, suddenly this thought came to his mind, what if someday I'll turn into blind and I cannot see properly? Then I need to do practice, like this can happen anytime. So let me do that today, now. He closed his eyes and he's crossed that bridge. So then Lord Shiva says, see, I told you, it's not in his destiny. So yes, that is when the luck stop supporting you, and there is a strong possibility of being misguided by people around you. So yes guys, this is how the first phase of the Sade Sati unfold. It is gonna be the same, the intensity will vary, but in the first phase of Sade Sati, this is how we get affected because of the planet Saturn. Our finances, whatsoever we value the most, start kind of mistreating us, and our daily life, health, lawsuit, and the faith, guidance, and the luck. Now guys, after that, now comes the second phase of the Sade Sati. So guys, when we talk about the second phase of Sade Sati, definitely now Saturn is right over your moon. So this is a kind of a time period where again it all comes down to individual to individual. What is the role of the Saturn in your life? This is something which I would insist all of you to contemplate, that whatsoever your lagna is, those two houses which Saturn rules, your life's learning and practical learning is somehow encrypted in the attributes of that house. Let's say, for example, if we talk about the Gemini Lagna natives. So in your case, the psychological aspect, how you handle any of the chaos and crisis situation, that will empower your luck more. So this is how you have to make a differentiation, and you have to understand that what Saturn is gonna teach you. Whenever Saturn will be over you, this could be Sade Sati, Dhaiya, Antardasha, Pritantardasha, whenever Saturn is going to be over you, what is it going to teach you? That your Lagna will decide. So yes guys, talking about the second phase of the Sade Sati, definitely Saturn is going to be transiting right over your natal moon. So that means it has now first of all, the pressure will start happening in this phase. Many times I've seen people who get into this mode of too many of the regrets, and with due retrospect, moping on the lost opportunity, looking back at those golden days when things could have been done better, and the stress and the pressure of responsibilities tend to remain at its peak. Now guys, again, it all comes down to individual to individual. Let's say, for example, Saturn, you are a Cancer Lagna or a Leo Lagna. Saturn is not a favorable planet for you. Saturn is also weak placed in your chart as well, and chart is very much ruled by Rahu, Ketu, ascendant lord being in the 8th, ascendant lord being in the 12th, moon being in the Gandanta, in the nakshatra of Ketu. So this is how a chart becomes very karmic. So I would say this thing that definitely this is going to be time where for an elevated person who is not in so much of the clutches and grip of the fated events, not a very typically fatalist chart. So this person will definitely be filled with the pressure of responsibilities. Many times it has been seen, people get introduced to their dharma, their purpose in the life, their soul purpose, life purpose, whenever Saturn is in close contact with your natal moon. Guys, at a time when I'm recording this video, Saturn is transiting right over my natal moon in the Sadbhisha nakshatra when I'm recording this video, and even in the Dasha as well, Saturn and the moon is right now active. So I'm telling you that when Saturn is right over there on your natal moon, people tend to remain very much consciously aware about that, what they are carved out for, what is their life purpose. And in very rarest of the rare possibility, I generally see people in this kind of influence wasting time in the trivial concerns or causes of the life. Now this is a kind of a safe chart, but in majority of the times when suddenly the health problems start happening, suddenly the fated events, accidents, losing family member, that generally also happen whenever Saturn is transiting right over your natal moon in the second phase of the Sade Sati. And now guys, from over here, the grip of the Saturn is gonna take into control your third house of your friends, of your resources, seventh house of your public image, and 10th house of your profession, of your action. So definitely guys, this is also a kind of time when many people remain subjected to the allegation or not getting the due return of all the hard work they are doing. But again guys, Saturn is a planet of justice. Whenever Saturn gives, it gives the biggest of the things which you would not have even imagined. Saturn can delay, but it never denies. But yes, this is a kind of a time when you have to remain very cautiously aware about your public image. You should not be wasting your time for something which is not meant for you, or I would say that experiments should be avoided in this second phase of the Sade Sati, because third house is the house of your initiatives. And you know this thing that the benefic planets like Jupiter, Venus, like Mercury and all, they can still grant you those sort of first comers luck. But when it comes down to the planet Saturn, if you are not sincere, if you have not earned something, it will not even let anything initiate or get started off in your life. So I would say this thing that if you are experimenting with something, you are trying to switch the sector, switch the lines, or you're doing something completely relying on someone's aid, support, or help. Understand this thing. Saturn wants you to become self-reliant. Saturn wants you to stand on your own feet rather than some sort of additional help or being on the clutches of the support of someone else. So that needs to be avoided. Your public image and people who are gonna come into your life. Again guys, over here as well, you can definitely make a fair calculation and judgment of that. Like let's say for example, what sort of experiences you are having right now. Like, are there people who are coming in your life, they are scamming you, they are duping you, they are stealing you away of your faith? And so that is also in a way some sort of practical lessons which are coming to you, which are being served to you. But definitely in the matters of your partnership, in the matters of your relation with the public, it all whatsoever is going to be happening that time is perfectly aligned with some higher, bigger plan which Saturn is carving out for you. So your experiences in the matters of the public domain, with your business partners, with your relationship with your spouse and your partner is heavily going to be judged during this time. And it's always recommended, like the way, do not do something which you are not reliant or prepared, or you do not have expertise. Do not do something which could put some stigma on your public image. Also stay very loyal in any sort of partnership sort of setting. Like we say this thing that strictly refrain from any extramarital affairs, cheating on your partner whenever Saturn is transiting right over your natal moon, because it is giving its straight aspect to your 7th house as well from your natal moon. And trust me guys, even today lot many astrologers, when it comes down to predicting your marriage, predicting your partner, lot many of the traditional Indian astrologers, they make all these predictions only from your moon sign. They do not even look at the ascendant. So yes, pertaining to the matters of your 7th house and your 10th house, you have to remain very cautious and very careful. Now guys, now when we talk about the final third phase of your Sade Sati. So now guys, over here a lot many astrologers say this thing that the final phase of Sade Sati is something when Saturn is slowly, gradually leaving you out of its 5 years of the grilling judgment with which it has made you pass through. So in the last phase, generally it has been seen lot many people rise, and their rise generally comes after learning the lesson and after going through all sort of turbulent times. Like in lot many cases, people, all the like freedom fighters and all, who generally at some stage they have to go to prison, they rebel and protest against the government status quo. But immediate after, when they come out of the prison, people put them into politics. They get the ticket from some important political parties and they campaign, they win the election and all. So that is how you can see that in the final phase of the Sade Sati, somehow whatsoever you have lost so far, if you have lost your family members, if you have lost your conviction, your faith into something which was very dear to you, you start earning that back. And guys, understand this thing. I always say this thing, whatsoever Rahu gives in its time before leaving you, it takes more than that. And whatever Saturn takes away from you before finally leaving you, it gives you 10 times more than that. So this is going to be the time when you will realize that why my family was mistreating me. The fault lies at my own. If it's about that, whatsoever the ideology, philosophies which matters a lot to you, but when the Sade Sati started happening, you started questioning it. Now the real intent of that is going to be delivered to you. And also guys, this is also considered as a good time for regaining what was meant for you. So this is how we can see this thing. Now guys, the good part over here is that from over here, Saturn even gave its aspect to some of the important houses. From the 2nd house, Saturn gave its aspect to your 4th house. It gives its straight aspect to your 8th house, and it gives its aspect to your 11th house. So understand this thing that Saturn is sitting in the house of the finances. It is looking at one house which is of the luxury, which is of the public service, gain and command over the public, over the masses. 8th house which also has got this capacity to give you unearned income, sudden speculative gains as well. And 11th house is the ultimate house of respect, of success. I always say this thing, like for example, 4 people went for an interview. The guy in whose chart the moon that day is transiting from the 11th house, it's a strong chance you will get that job. So this is what the importance of the 11th house is that. And at the last final phase, Saturn start influencing your 11th house. It means whatsoever you are meant to do, you meant to become, that will start happening in your life. You will win back your family. You will also stand a chance for some sudden speculative gain as well, and a command and control over the masses can happen at a final phase of your Sade Sati. So yes guys, this was just a basic overview on the Sade Sati. Definitely my main intent now is to shift into the remedial part, because 90% of the times not everyone wants to become an astrologer. People want to know about the forecast and they want to know about the remedies. So definitely I will make a second video on that, but in this video I just wanted to share my insights that it hardly matters where Saturn is transiting, what is your lagna and all. The three phases of the Sade Sati have got a fixed pattern that you will be judged, assessed and rewarded or punished in the same areas of the life. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For furthermore updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.